Hello, 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 everyone. How are you doing? Happy Thursday. I hope you are having a good day, a good morning, a good week, and staying busy. Welcome to the Impact Tribe podcast, where we meet exceptional people who create a positive impact in the world. I'm your host, Ashley Bright. We are streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I would appreciate it if everyone out there could give us a follow, give us a subscribe. We're on Instagram and YouTube at the Impact Tribe Podcast. And before we get to my amazing guest, I would like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Opus Clip. If you are like me and you have long form content such as podcasts and videos and other things that you need to turn into short, digestible clips that you can share online, Opus Clip is the solution. I use it all the time. It does all the captioning, the editing. It's super simple and saves me so much time. So if you are interested in learning more, I encourage you to take advantage of this little offer that we got here to get a discount on Opus Clip. You will not regret it. It's awesome. So get your 30% discount and you will love it. I promise. All right. So with that, let's get to my guest. This individual is an author, a speaker, a workshop facilitator, and a life coach with over 20 years of leadership experience. And if that's not enough experience, he's also a father of 6. If any fathers, parents out there, you know that is experience for a lifetime, right? And he lives by the motto, leave everything better than I found it. Everyone, please put your hands together for my guest, Cornelius Kirk, or as I know him, CK. Thank you, my friend, for being here.
And it is an honor and a privilege to be on your platform. I know this is your baby. So, yeah, I know. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. We go back, like 8-9 months, a year even? I'm not sure, but I feel like we've known each other for a very long time in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, from the Iron Tribe.
Yeah.
And all the crew there. And I think that has created a very deep bond and relationship because there's a lot of transparency, a lot of honesty. And I credit the Iron Tribe with allowing me to know that that's something we as men can do. And so with all of that, I mean, I count you amongst so many great friends that have come out of that. So welcome.
So thank you. And you know what, when you bring up Iron Tribe, I can't help but smile on the exterior and interior. But one of the things that I haven't told you is when I see your yellow glasses, I always like, okay, I feel better now. My boy Ashley's here. You got the glasses on. And I always know you're going to bring a great perspective that's going to be heartfelt. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And I think I mentioned in one of my comments on the promo that for this event that you are notorious for, in a good way, I keep saying it like it's a negative, but in a good way, for these probing questions and these really insightful thoughts that are both sort of revealing, getting people to open up, and also there's an element of holding people accountable. Like you can't just kind of say that and then recede into the background. You gotta follow up, and let's keep digging.
I love that last part, the accountability part. Somebody says something, I'm like, oh no, let's talk about where that's coming from. So I appreciate you seeing and noticing that, acknowledging that.
Yeah, it's good because it's, you know, you can, I think you have this innate talent for recognizing when someone's right on the cusp and they want to talk about it, they want to get some clarity, they want to get some input, but it's just they're sort of peeking through the door. Yeah. Like, hey, I need some help, but I'm not quite sure.
Well, so let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
That comes from that's for me, but I want to give the gift to other people. That's what I need. I still need it as a coach. I still need it. So that's why I have a coach. But with that, like my word for the year is safety. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think we just need more spaces where we can be safe, where we can, dig deeper with our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, and have conversations, and at the end of the day, not be judged. So I feel like when I do that, I'm giving off that, and people feel that. So
absolutely, and that's why I didn't want it to sound like it was aggressive or negative. It's really it's just that subtlest bit of a push to kind of say, I know you're about to show up, you want to share something, and I'm going to give you the space and the safety to share that. And we're not going to judge. We're gonna talk through it.
Yeah.
And that, as you just said, I mean, up until a year ago, I didn't know that was. I mean, but it's like I didn't know where to find that. I didn't know where to find those people, and now I can't help but almost bring that energy that you have to other conversations I have outside of the Iron Tribe. Or I'm able to, it's like I sort of feel like I can see the Matrix now. There's something there. I can see a layer that I didn't see before.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we all need it. It's not something foreign. It doesn't, you don't graduate. You don't get a certain amount in your bank account. You don't get married. All the life events, it's still needed. Safety is still needed. Safe spaces are still needed. Unpacking is still needed. Yeah. And so I just want to be one of those guys that I can say, hey, I'm part of helping people. And I put it on every video. The last part of my every video is I help people get out of their own way, including myself. So I'm not a guru. I'm still practicing. I'm a practitioner of everything that I talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's maybe a good transition point. I'd love to learn a little bit more. Well, two things. One, what are you doing with Limitless Coaching and how are you showing up and who are you serving? And then also I'd love to learn a little bit more about your journey to get here. I said 20 years of leadership experience, a father of 6. I mean, there's a lot there. So I'll let you sort of parse it how you'd like.
Yeah. So I'll give Cliff Notes. Single parent home. All right. So to me, in that situation, it's already a disadvantage because you're only getting one half of the equation of what I believe it is to be whole from a young age. And so all of my work is rooted in that. I'm not a therapist. I don't want to be a therapist. I think humans can do very well with a therapist. I'm a coach. I help people look from here today and forward. What can we build? And so the work that I'm doing is mostly had been done at a corporate level, where that's what I was in leadership. And we would have these meetings. And I realized, I was like, wow, even my top performers still have these beliefs that are holding them back from that next level. And when you start to get to it and unwind it, there was nothing there. There was just a voice that they had been saying over and over and over. And so that's the work that I do, whether that's with youth all the way up to it's everybody, right? I'm specifically right now, I'm transitioning to men, to doing more work with men. On my heart, it's been on my soul. And I'm not a niche guy. I like to say, no, everybody needs this. But in this season, it's going towards men. And so this work actually has come out of necessity because it was what I needed. And I couldn't find it. So I said, you know what? Why don't I create it? And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Absolutely. That's so important. I credit my wife with helping me become who I am now. And she held me accountable a couple of years ago when I was starting to kind of go off the rails and some destructive behavior and things like that. And I think dealing with that whole midlife crisis and, earning potential and all the other sort of baggage that I think gets kind of piled onto us at this point. And, she helped me get through that, but I knew she wasn't the one that I needed to have a dialogue with someone else that could really relate to that and understand that. And I think she was sort of saying like, go find that. She didn't say it, but I knew that was what was coming. And I think that was why it was sort of the universe put Anthony Towndrow in front of me. Yeah. And he introduced me to Andrew and the Iron Tribe, and the rest is kind of history at this point. But
so I love that you identify that at home, you got the temporary relief you needed from your wife, but it was also a push out of the house to say, no, there's somebody else, because it's very hard to have a coach kind of like inside your home or in your relationship. And so my Ashley always says, you're not my coach. And I got to catch myself because I just can't turn it off. I'm like, but she's right. And so I've told her, hey, why don't you get a new coach for your life? I love that you brought up Iron Tribe and the stones of how you got there. So mine was Lindsay Dowd. And she got me to Andrew, and then I've met all you guys. And so it's crazy. I don't even talk to her as much. I love her. Shout out to Lindsay. But it's amazing how one person, and I have this right here, how you're one person away. I always have this on my computer. I've had this for like 5 years.
That's great.
But how we get people who connect us into different tribes. So
absolutely. And speaking of which, I'm just looking in the chat here. CL is here. or CL. Why did I say CL? KL, Carrie Lynn. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. And Antonio Mills is here. Two people that I met through Andrew, through the Iron Tribe, through Lindsay, through you.
So
I lose track of all these little threads.
yeah, and so Carrie Lynn was somebody that I met in Chicago during our meetup, and has become a good friend of mine, and respect to all the work she's doing with her work. And then Mills he's in our group, correct?
Yep.
And he lives in Raleigh, which is like 20 minutes from where I live. So I'm gonna tap in with him in person soon. So
yeah, I'm a little jealous because so many of the people, the Iron Tribe, are on that side of the country that it's hard for me to, at some point I'm going to get out there, but it just hasn't really been feasible yet.
Well, hopefully the next meetup can be your direction. I'd love to come west personally. So just so you know, behind the scenes, I'm gonna be the one saying, no, let's go to Arizona. Let's go out that way somewhere. So anyway.
Wow. So tell me, I'm curious. So we're both fathers. You've got a few more children than I do, but nonetheless, there's lessons learned. Are there any, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, because I have learned so much about myself and an emotional intelligence I was not raised with because of having children. And it's interesting because, as I said, I was not raised with it. My parents were great, but there wasn't an emotional awareness. We didn't talk about things. There was no discussion around it, no unpacking. And I always remember, this is very funny. Will show you the distinction between my wife and I. My wife she's from Mexico. And so her family, was stereotypically very vocal. It was all out there. And I remember when she first came to a Christmas dinner with my family, and she said afterwards, I've never met a group of people that talk so much and say so little. And I was like, boom, that's the mic drop right there. Like, that was a sum up. I mean, I love my family, but I was not raised in that.
Well, we're in the same age group. And so our parents, that generation, didn't do that. They worked, you know what? They took care of family, but they did emotional intelligence and conversation and talking about feelings, not so much.
Nope.
Not so much. So I think we're just getting to a point where people are comfortable with having those conversations. And so, to go back to your question about my children, twofold, they've taught me more than any other thing in this world. Both either me just wanting to be a better man for them. So that's me digging deep into my emotions. And then secondly, they've said it to my face. Hey, Dad, you need to get, like, for instance, one story. Jackie, she's 23 or 4 right now. I got too many kids to remember.
That's okay. I have 2 and I lose track.
Back when we used to eat at McDonald's, she wanted a smoothie. And I think it was like $5 or whatever it costs. And I was like, Jackie, I don't have it. And she was like, Dad, you make me feel really uncomfortable when you say we don't have money. Right. And I was like, wow, can I get a smoothie? And so little things like that, where she was teaching me, hey, the things you say kind of impact me. And so now I look back on that, and I still remember that. That was like 20 years ago. And that's still playing in my head. So my kids have taught me so much about who I need to be in this world. So
yeah, it's powerful. I mean, they, in so many ways, sent me on the journey that I've been on for the last 12 years with my business. And, I think much like you, trying to help people get out of their own way, but in the context of public speaking and communication, because I think we all have value. We all have insights and things that we should share and that are valuable. And I hate the notion of any anxiety or fear or stage fright or that story you've got in your head getting in the way of that. I would imagine, much like you, in terms of like your leadership opportunities, your life goals, your purpose.
Yeah. No, I think you talk about it, limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome and all of the things. Even the greats tell you they have it. So I'm like, wait a minute. They had this level of success and they're still feeling these kinds of ways. How do I unpack it? How do I get rid of this? And I don't think you actually get rid of it. So I have like 3 things that I do. I identify it, I challenge it, and then once I realize what it is, I reframe it. And that actually, what I found most true is most of my limiting beliefs aren't even mine. They're a projection from my childhood or some of the past experiences, the things I've been through. And so once I do the inner work, once we do our deep work, bro, you realize most of it's not even ours. And that's refreshing. Once I'm just like, no, this is my third grade teacher telling me I wasn't enough or I would never be anything. Well, Mrs. Brown, I am something. Now, take, you know what I mean? Like,
Woo!
so you have to identify. You have to identify it. And I think we're
Absolutely.
so. Go ahead.
I was going to say, absolutely. I had a guest on my previous episode, and he was talking. We were talking about kind of these big T's and little T's in terms of
Saw
trauma.
that. Yeah, I
And
saw
I
that.
think that sort of mainstream always thinks of like the big T's, and obviously those are big T's for a reason. But all of those little T's, those moments, like you said, like your third grade teacher, or like that look that, in my case, that look that my father gave me that one time, and like just little things that sort of add up over time
Yeah.
to have that limiting belief, have that inner story that you're telling yourself that is rooted in, like, there's no reality, there's no truth to it. It's just been playing for a long time.
So I love that you brought that point up. The not the macro, you know what, the large things that happen. We all have, not everybody has those, but everybody has the micro, the little ones.
Mhm,
They're just like the little, right? Like
mhm,
you said, my dad looking at me, kind of funny. That didn't feel right, and you just keep going. You don't deal with it. One of the ladies from the meetup that we have, Laurel, she talks about, and she calls them negative life events, and they
mhm.
don't have to be large to still be impacting us as adults. And so many people just kind of look over them, they brush over them, but you have to identify them. You have to say, hey, where this coming from? And you have to have the conversations. And unfortunately, our brain doesn't like it. It doesn't like new beliefs. It likes the old beliefs. So when the new belief comes, it's like, go get, it's like this going on. You have to continue to fight it to replace that old belief. And again, most of it's not true.
Absolutely. And I love this sort of way of thinking about it. I've always appreciated this because the simplicity of it, which is, and we've talked about this on the Iron Tribe, this idea of like you've created these grooves in your mind over time, from those little T's, big T's, et cetera, et cetera. And how, and I love the other side of it, like the driving in the mud, and you kind of keep sliding into the same rut or the snow or whatever metaphor you want to use. But you really got to work hard to start to steer away from that, and it takes more concentration and effort, and it takes time to start to create that new groove. And it's so easy to just slip
Yeah.
right back into it, because it may be painful, it may be limiting, but it's also comfort. There's familiarity there.
Comfort zones. Ooh,
Comfort zones, yes.
nothing grows in my comfort zone. Nothing. I'm glad you brought up comfort zones. I try to do these little stories. I create things where, like, for me, my comfort zone is a real living thing, or my limiting beliefs are a real living thing. And I always feel like if I don't deal with them, they're taking all my resources. They're taking all of my keynote speeches, or all the
Mm,
things that we could create business and revenue from. My comfort zone is living my life. I'm
mhm.
having this conversation with my comfort zone. I'm like, not today, bro. You're not getting any of my funds today. You're on a trip over here. Your passport's getting punched. You're driving the car I want. You're taking care of your family the way I want. And I have that real life conversation with it to remind myself that I do have power. I'm not small. Like, I can create. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I have two quotes. I have one on my computer over here, and I have one, actually, I have a little card on the mirror in the bathroom. And the one on the computer says, "Everything I want is on the other side of fear." And it's just this reminder that, again, kind of like the little T's, that those fears can be really small, but they just control everything. And
yeah.
then the other one I have on the mirror says, "Nothing changes if nothing changes." And it's I hold it's there every morning, and it just reminds me when I'm having that doubt or I'm having that uncertainty. But it could be the simplest thing, like sending an email to a client or something that just is holding me back. And
Let's talk about
yeah.
that. Let's talk
Oh, here
about
we go.
let's talk
CK's
about
on it.
yeah. Let's jump into this. That email you want to send.
Mm.
Okay, I'm sitting there, you've written it, or you've had Chat GPT write it, whoever you've had write it,
Yeah.
it's written. Before you push that button, what's going on inside of me? Well, now I'm on the other side. If they read this email, is there going to be rejection? Are
Mm.
they going to are they going to even reply? And so that's the conversation that a lot of people are having, and most people just don't send it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I do is that I'll have something good come in, an opportunity or something, and my brain will instinctively go to, well, yeah, but what happens after that? whether it's can I fulfill on this, or what happens when that contract runs out. Like, it immediately goes to the survival, and it may be months in the future.
That's great.
And it's crazy to like,
Man, that's so great for you to bring that up, because it goes back to why we should be present. Like, one step at a time, one day at a time. That situation will take care of itself, just like the one you just got funded. But our brain is trying to protect us. You don't want to go out too far on that edge, so just don't send it, right? And when you think about our brain, we get 60 to 80,000 thoughts every day. 80% of them are negative. So again, if you don't challenge it and reframe it, most of the thoughts that we deal with are going to be negative. And that's going to keep us on that pattern that you were speaking of earlier, of just doing the same thing over and over and calling it life. So I'm personally not okay with that. Like, I want everything that's supposed to be mine. So,
and if you think about it, whether you're talking about all those little T's that have built up over your lifetime, and then you couple that with sort of the media landscape, whether it's social media or news or whatever, it's just this like fire hose constantly of negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
And so what you're talking about, and the work that you do with people sort of getting out of their own way, is important, so important, but also so hard, because it's like you're standing under a waterfall of stuff that's negative or making you question.
Yeah.
And that just had this other metaphor with like an umbrella, like the little CK umbrella, kind of saying, let's find a little safety here. Let's talk about this.
You are nailing that. And it's more, and it's not going away. That's the thing about it. It's
getting bigger. It's getting bigger. Right? They're opening the floodgates up the river.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm just going to be like going down the river with it all. But you got to get out of the river. So how do I get out of the river? Now, I need to be in the river, because that's where some of the things I need in life are, but temporarily. And then how do I unplug and get out of the river to healthy spaces, healthy environments around people, my tribe of people that I feel good around, in nature, all the things that I think traditionally, that's who we are. And so now you think about it, you have the people who created social media, some of the platforms saying, well, I don't allow my kids to be on there. Wait, what?
What? It's okay for everyone else, but not me.
And so just being mindful of get in there, get what you need, but get out when you need to too, and take care of your inner self.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned sort of like finding that mindfulness and that peace. And since we're on the waterfall and the river, I don't remember where I heard this. It may have been in the Iron Tribe, but this idea that you're like a pebble or a rock kind of sitting in the river. And when you meditate or you find that place of calm or peace, that it's like you're letting all of those worries, all of that negativity, all that stuff kind of flow past you. It's just kind of going around you, and it's washing over you. And I love that, because it's the other, like the idea of pushing back or deflecting is a little challenging, but just being like, it's just going to go right past me.
That's a great point. I think being adaptable, and we think we know how things are going to go, so we grab onto it. Well, now when you grab onto it, there's friction. It's tight. If it's something that's tight, it's not good. It's not supposed to be tight. So being fluid and letting things flow, I picture it like this, Ashley. When life's happening, if it's not mine to deal with, I just sit. I'm picturing myself sitting there, kind of just watching it go by. Oh, wow, cool. It's not mine to touch. There's only so much that we can do. And, when you sit in that space and you just let things go, you'll realize you feel stuff come off of you. And it's so important for us to do that.
And I think too, for people listening, that there's sometimes this notion that whether it's sort of finding that place of peace or meditation or prayer or whatever it is for you, that it has to be this like big consuming thing. We got to get candles out. We got to dim the lights. But for me, I found that it's really about resets. So throughout the day, I think if you don't reset, you're running this risk of, I think, everything gets amped up, frustration, email, news media, whatever it is. And I used to find this when my kids were young. I ended up having to stop before I got home and park a few blocks away and sit in the car for 10 or 15 minutes and just relax, because I was going to come home and yell at my little children who would bring me nothing but joy. Instead, I'd come in and I'd be like, And there's nothing worse than that look on their face of like sadness, and you're like, God, I'm such an asshole. What did I just do?
Yeah, I think I've driven around for a while because I knew that I needed to get it out before I got home. Such a great point. Such a great point.
Absolutely. So I just want to give a shout out here to some people that chimed in. Toby, thank you for joining us. Antonio is saying that in nature, it helps him unplug.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, just hearing the wind. In fact, yesterday I pulled over and I went to a park and it was super windy and I was just laying on top of a park bench, sort of watching the leaves and the trees blow. And it was sort of a side note, sort of funny. There were some kids there with a kite and his father was flying a kite and this kite got away from them and was flying through the neighborhood. I could see them chasing it down the street and eventually got caught in a tree. And I'm sure it's still there. It was flying from this tree. So little joyful moment. It was sort of funny.
Yeah. I love that he brought up nature too.
Mm-hmm.
We know it to be true. We know it energizes us, but yet you don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just get out. So my bedroom window was open before I got on this call and I could hear the birds chirping. And I was just like, it was like this little settled thing. I was like, wow, that feels so good. So again, just scheduling those times so I live by this pond and you can walk around, beautiful, very quiet. 15 minutes resets my day at a stoplight. 2 minutes at a stoplight. I'm taking 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out.
Yeah.
Right. I'm at the gym working out between sets. I'm talking to God. I'm praying with my eyes open, walking around. People think I'm probably crazy, but it doesn't. Like you said, I don't have to go into this secret closet and have these candles or all this other stuff going on. I can just do it wherever I'm at. So
absolutely. Well, so we're getting close to the end here. And is there anything coming up or things that are going on that you want people to know about, or how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, obviously, like you do, LinkedIn. I'm on there. I'm on all the Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of these things under Limitless Life Productions. And so I guess what I want people to really do is just interact with my content, because I'm literally pouring my heart and soul into everything that I put out. I'm not holding back. It's all transparent, authentic, and it's just me loving on the world in areas that I think are necessary. And so I think we need more of that in our world today.
I 100% agree. And if you haven't seen CK's content, I highly recommend you engage. I just actually this morning discovered, or knew of, but rediscovered 6 Minutes with Us, which is, what is it? What would you say? It's primarily you, but occasionally your wife jumps in. And
so if I can pull her in, right? She's super busy, but if I can get her in and get her to sit down in front of a camera, it's both of us. If it's not, it's me typically driving in my car, rolling around my city, having conversations that I think are necessary.
Absolutely. And I love that the way you said it, sort of loving on the world. Because again, that machine that is firing negativity at us is only ramping up. And so I think finding that compassion, that kindness, that empathy. Welcome, David Landis just joined us. David knows all about this and is always showing up and being compassionate and providing valuable wisdom and insights. And it's everybody in their own way. We need to be doing something for ourselves, which then goes out into the world, and I think has that ripple effect.
And that's ripple effect. Number 3 is in mantra of leaving things better. Number 3 pillar is the ripple effect that it has. When we all just do that every day, just smallest ways, right? Just smallest ways, saying hello, opening doors, basic stuff that we were all raised on. That's kind of like gone away a little bit. So
yeah, you never know, because I've been there. I'm sure you've been there, where you're having one of those moments, whatever's led up to it, and then someone just gives you a smile or some little interaction, and you kind of go, oh, okay, it's all right, it's okay, we'll get through this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I really believe we're all connected. And so I'm always mindful of that. When I always have my eyes up, I'm not on my phone. I'm in the grocery store, everywhere. I'm trying to connect with people and be a part of making it better. So
absolutely. And I love that. I mean, let's end on that note. Okay. Always making it better in little ways, big ways, whatever way that you want. I mean, for me, that's why I do this, is just being able to have these conversations with people that I think are important and valuable and doing wonderful things in the world. And so with that, I want to thank you, CK, for being here and for sharing yourself and for the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to tell you this. I love your platform. I think you communicate in such an amazing way. So if you're doubting yourself at all, stop, because I think your work is great. So continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And a big shout out to those that joined us in the chat.
Yeah.
KL, Antonio, Toby, David, thank you guys for being here. And for all the people that didn't comment, I love you. Thank you so much for being here as well. And if you want to connect with CK, get out on LinkedIn, check him out. Also on YouTube, 6 Minutes with Us is his channel. Some 6-minute little bites of wisdom and insight and some time with CK. So get out there. So with that, thank you so much, CK. I appreciate you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and a great weekend.
I will. You too.
Thank you, my friend. All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. And like I said before, if you like what you're seeing, I would love some support. Please follow, subscribe to us on Instagram and YouTube at the Impact Tribe Podcast. Please share it with your friends. And join me in 2 weeks on March 27th for my special guest, Jenny Poon. Jenny is a serial entrepreneur. For those of you in Arizona, you may know her as the founder of Hub and Cahoots. She's an equity advocate, an appointed member of the National Women's Business Council, and she sits on the board of directors for Landings Credit Union. So join us for that. It's going to be amazing and insightful and wonderful. So until next time, thank you everyone for creating a positive impact in your world. Together, we can make change happen. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the week. Cheers.